Hi everyone, it's Rachel for Cybersports Network, and I'm so excited to be interviewing you, Derek Docs Reball, because we have been friends online for a long time, and this is the first time we've been able to meet in person. You brought a ton of Australian players up here to MLG Dallas. You're supporting the scene. That was a personal investment on your behalf. Yeah. How did this all come to be?
I was kind of looking for a way to really raise awareness for Australian or Southeast Asian players, to try and get a lot more exposure on those guys, because we do have a lot of talent, but it just doesn't get showcased enough. And I started out the whole venture by hosting tournaments. I hosted a tournament, I think last November, I think it was, called the Docs Cup, which we had Grubby and a whole bunch of other really famous international players, including In Control, QXC, some Koreans, including Violet, which I know you're a big fan of. And I kind of tried to use that as an avenue for exposure, to try and get our guys mingling with the pros, get a lot of eyes on us, but it wasn't really as successful as I was hoping. So I took a different approach this year and decided to form a team of the guys that I really felt deserved a lot of exposure in Australia, and some of the guys who definitely had the skill to take across the sea. And yeah, so we decided to put the team together back in February. We've been around for about, I think, 10 months now, and the guys have been around the world a couple of times, and this is our first time to MLG, and it's been amazing.
It's really awesome what you were able to do with these guys. I know you're behind a lot of just the esports events, the organizations, the get-togethers in Australia. What has that been like, trying to pull the esports scene together down there?
It's a challenge. I mean, with limited resources and funding, it's always a struggle, because everyone you're working with and everything you're doing, you know that it's just volunteer work, and the entire scene in Australia is driven by passion. And in such a scene like that, it's very difficult for longevity, because we have a lot of people just kind of pop up, run a few events, and then they just evaporate because they're bleeding money. So it's a huge challenge in Australia, and it's something that we're still struggling to overcome today. But I mean, with ventures like this, sending our guys across the world, getting all eyes on us, hopefully we can find more support in the future.
Have you had much success with that? Have a lot of people been coming up to you and expressed, interest in what you're doing?
Yeah, it's actually been overwhelming. It's been really crazy, the amount of people who are just coming up and introducing themselves and talking about Australia, and trying to find ways that we can all work together to get maybe some pros over to Australia and get the Australians back overseas again. So it's really cool.
One of the difficulties your guys said that they often face is when they play from home, they have horrendous lag. You were describing it to me as like with Banshees, you actually had to send an attack command and then preempt that attack command and enter the next one before. Yep. So what have these guys been dealing with in this transition?
I guess, I mean, it's going to be really disappointing to go back home and play on that ping again. The guys have really appreciated how amazing it is to play here, even on like the crappy Wi-Fi in our hotel. It's amazing compared to home. The guys practicing at home have just tried to do their best on what they can do, or what they've got, and coming here, it's kind of like it almost gives them superpowers. It's like the whole Dragon Ball Z hyperbolic time chamber thing, You got this really strict, heavy practice regime, then you come here and it's so much easier to play. Yeah, I mean, the internet infrastructure in Australia is not going to improve anytime soon. We're going to be in the Stone Age for quite a while, so it's not really something we can overcome. I guess we can just have to keep practicing in these conditions, and hopefully when we come across the ocean, things get better.
Well, the guys here, they have had the opportunity to practice. You get to watch GSL in a reasonable time zone. You get to maybe play on the Korean ladder a little bit easier than the US and Europe can. What do you think the advantages to being an Australian player are, aside from these superpowers and their hyperbolic training?
I think the Korean connection is definitely a big advantage for us. We get to play in the Korean peak hour, and of course, as you mentioned, we get to watch the GSL at a reasonable hour. We get to sit around and have dinner. Our bar crafts are at a good hour, all that sort of stuff. I guess for us, I mean, our next destination is going to be Korea. We'll be heading there next year, hopefully in the first quarter, but we haven't set anything in stone yet. So it's a much cheaper venture for us than coming all the way over here. So that should be good for us. And I mean, the practice that you can get out of living in Korea for like a month or so is obviously a big advantage. So that for us, being access, or at least having Asia accessible, is a huge advantage. It's probably the best thing to us.
Well, you said you've gotten a lot of attention from sponsors, but a lot of fans are also very interested in what you guys are doing. So how can they help you guys grow? What can fans do to help the Australian scene?
I guess just help spread the word, really. I mean, it's really cool. Every time we see people on Reddit or Team Liquid and stuff, and they're commenting on Moonglade or Rossi or UNYJ, all the guys in NV, and even the Immunity guys as well, when they're commenting on these guys and cheering from them, I look at the location of where they're from in Team Liquid, I'm like, oh, there's like a German cheering for us. That's so cool. Or like Americans and stuff like that. So that means a lot to us, because we don't get a lot of exposure outside of our scene, and it kind of makes us wonder, how did this guy even find out about us? Where did he see us play? All that sort of thing. So yeah, it means a lot to us just to see people from around the world supporting us and spreading the word, because I mean, there's been this this constant stigma for a long time since StarCraft's release, where it's got like, you know, Europe and America are like around here, then you got Korea on top of them, but we're not amongst the rest of everyone else. We're down here and no one really pays attention to us. So we just want to be with everyone else, that's all.
I think that's completely possible. Like I said, it's great to see you guys here. Is there anyone that you want to address personally?
I guess for me, like coming here and meeting all the cool people that I've just, you know, been inspired by, and I really, really respect, like, you know, In Control, Grubby, all these people, yourself, of course, all these wonderful people that have, you know, taken the time to really get involved with our scene, and it's just so wonderful to meet them all. And of course, everyone back at us in Australia and Southeast Asia cheering for us. I mean, we do this for those guys. We're trying to bring exposure to them and bring opportunities for them. So it's cool that they're all staying up at crazy hours to watch us play.
Well, you put so much work into the scene. I'm glad you're finally seeing it grow. You've done so much for Australian esports, and I really can't wait until you break out onto the international scene. Thank you so much, Derek. Thanks for talking to us, and thanks for bringing the guys.
Thank you.